because the size wasn't anything we comprehended with a python. It looked more like an alligator.
The largest snake ever seen may have been recorded slithering into its Amazonian den. This next creature is a lakeside leviathan. This incredibly huge snake was discovered slithering through a Brazilian village just under a year ago. Animals that get to be this large often adopt an almost cavalier attitude. They're so massive that nothing in the jungle realistically threatens them, and so they get used to throwing their weight around. When this snake was smaller, it likely had to avoid jaguars or even caimans, but now it's such an immense creature that it pays them no mind. This is the sort of snake that could easily crush a canoe and easily out-wrestle a person. So can you blame it for rocking through this village without a care in the world? The people in the village know well enough to just leave the snake alone while it goes on its way, and neither side causes problems for the other. The real question is, what would you do seeing this leviathan? This snake is a trapped titan. Who could have known a simple slip knot could catch a prehistoric monster? This creature was captured by some industrious farmers who were tired of their chicken disappearing. They kept discovering the wire of the coop pushed apart and the lost feathers of a chicken snatched up in the night. So instead of repairing the coop, they laid a trap. This titanic snake would be the result. Watching this snake twist and pull, it's obvious just how incredibly powerful and massive this creature is. What happened to it after the video is unknown, but I hear snake tastes a lot like chicken, which must have been a treat for the farmers who just lost so many. I just hope the twine rope and frame of this building actually held up to this struggling serpent. This giant snake was discovered on the farm of a Bolivian rancher, just casually slithering through the backcountry fields and grazing pastures. This farmer had actually had issues the month prior with cattle going missing from his herd. Having spotted this shockingly large snake, he began to fear that there might be other behemoths lurking nearby that were potentially feasting on his cattle. And so he followed the snake for several minutes until he finally came to a stream. This stream bordered on his property, and after following it a little ways farther, he allegedly found a whole den of equally immense snakes, half a dozen burrows in the bank, and one massive snake clearly having gorged itself on one of his cows. Those snakes have since allegedly been relocated, though whether they were relocated into a lab or into a nature preserve is unknown.
Looks like a Titanoboa was swimming right underneath this daring explorer. Now, it's always a bit of a risk when you do enter a swamp. There's tall grass and giant lily pads covering most of the water, so it's really hard to see what could be lurking beneath you. But things really get serious when you venture into the swamp on a tiny raft, and those same plants start moving underneath you. This person received the shock of a lifetime when they noticed that their raft wasn't the only thing that was pushing the plants aside. It was obvious that something big was moving around in the water, but it was impossible for them to see through all the vegetation. Just a few moments later, however, a giant snake emerged near the surface and really gave this person a scare. Although it was impossible to see its full body, the width of this serpent was a pretty clear indication that this thing was huge. Now, this particular encounter could have ended very badly for this person, but thankfully the snake didn't seem too interested in them. Maybe it was just sending a bit of a warning message to leave the swamp immediately, but the snake eventually swam away in the other direction. Because of its gargantuan size and its strange skin pattern, many believe that this was actually a Titanoboa that was hiding in the swamp.
And finally, the beast in the river. This incredible image was taken in a southern Venezuelan village bordering on the Amazon. The village had been having issues with pets and livestock going missing for several months, a common tale in these regions. But everything changed when they discovered a large, flattened path leading away from the scene of a recent devouring. The path looked like a snake trail, but was unreasonably large. Some people followed it, but it simply disappeared into the water some ways away. A week later, the snake would appear, however, swimming across the river. A lucky image was taken, but then the villagers loaded up into canoes and started smashing and stabbing the water with their oars, presumably to scare away the snake. Allegedly, it worked, and they have since had no other issues.